As always, I am starting with white charcoal. I am working on light cream toned paper, and the type of paper that I like to work on these days is 65-pound cardstock from the series called Recollections. You can find this cardstock paper on Amazon in various bundles or standalone colors. You can also find it in pretty much any craft store or art store. It's very common, which is why I love it so much. And 65, 75, and 80-pound cardstock will go through pretty much any regular house printer, so don't worry about this paper being too thick. Before we get too carried away with technique and color selection, let's talk about what Victorian sepia is. When we think of the Victorian era and Victorian art, we think about things that are elegant with lots of swirls, lots of detail, but the colors are a little bit muted. The reason that I picked this page for the demo is because it's drawn in a Victorian style as well, so the theme is very fitting. Now, what is sepia? Sepia is a term for brown tones. Back in the day, sepia actually came from squid ink, and it was indeed brown in color. So when you see old Leonardo da Vinci sketches or similar old sketches that look all brown and discolored, it's not from time. It's not because it was a black sketch that faded. It was actually drawn in sepia. These days, anything that's remotely brown toned is called sepia. Sepia can be on the greenish side, it can be on the bluish side, it can be in the French gray area, gray area, no pun intended. But generally, it's any kind of brown tones. And this is why for my paper color, I chose this kind of a mocha cappuccino, very warm and gentle brownish tan. White charcoal, of course, can always be substituted with a white Prismacolor pencil as well, but I prefer charcoal because it layers nicely and we can smooth it out with a Q-tip to create really beautiful sfumato effects. With my white charcoal, I primed everything that is her skin, the silk of her dress, the highlights in her hair, and the little decorations in her hair, as well as her crown. So basically, I primed everything that's the lightest in my character. I did not touch the frame or the background. That was step one. For step two, we need to pick a nice rosy beige color. In my Prismacolor set, I happen to have a pencil that's actually called Rosy Beige. This is a very well named color. It's quite accurate. It is indeed Rosy Beige. We are looking for a dusty rose color, not at all a vibrant pink, but rather a muted tone of pink. For those of you who have taken color theory or how to use colored pencils like a pro, you know all about tints and tones. We want a dusty rose that's a little bit on the grayish side, a little bit muted. In fact, a dusty lilac or violet will also work here. We want to stay away from clean and clearly saturated colors. We're looking for tints and tones and shades already in our pencils. So colors that are already diluted with white or gray or black. And I am applying this rosy beige to the background as well as to the character. When we're dealing with sepia colorings, it's important to apply every single layer with every single color to the entire composition all at once. We're not going for realistic coloring. We are going for this old world feel, this old Victorian drawing done in actual sepia. So we're making the paperwork to our advantage, we're making the pencils work to our advantage, and of course, we started by selecting our coloring page wisely, something that fits the theme. This was step two, and in this step, I applied my rosy beige to a great deal of the background, but notice that I've added some marbling effects there. And I've added this rosy beige to my character completely, to her skin, to her hair, all of her decorations, and her dress. Now for step three, we bring in the actual sepia, what will make this look sepia, and that is dark brown. This color happens to be called dark brown. Prismacolor is in tune with me today. Dark brown is what we're looking for, and this is a very simple choice. All color pencil sets have a dark brown pencil. It may not be called a dark brown in every single set. It may be called Tarantula or Espresso or Dark Forest or something. Depending on the set, it doesn't matter. This can be on the reddish side, on the orange side, it can be on the yellow side, whatever dark brown appeals to you. The important part in selecting this color is getting one that is very dark. Again, referencing color theory or how to use colored pencils like a pro, it's important to understand the value of the pencils that we're working with. This pencil is very dark when we talk about lightness or darkness of the full potential of the pencil. We're talking about its value. This pencil is dark in its full potential. Obviously, we can apply it very lightly and create something that's maybe a 10% saturation or 20% saturation, but if we apply it freely and strongly with many layers, we can achieve a darkness of 90-ish% of brown. If your pencil is very dark, extremely dark, you can create a full range of gradient transitions with it. You can create very light shades and you can create very dark shades. But if your pencil's full potential is only about 20 or 30%, like this pale dusty rose, then you can only do so much with it in terms of shading. So using lighter pencils is always good for priming, and it's usually very good for skin tones because it's safe. Here, we're going for high contrast. For this amazing Victorian sepia effect, it's extremely important to push through and to apply this really dark brown once again to everything. That includes her skin, her silk dress, her hair, and of course the background. This piece, this effect is all about contrast. You can see a lot of the pencil strokes, the texture of the paper may be coming through. At this point, you may be thinking, I overdid this. This isn't working out. Her skin isn't smooth and pearly at all, like on the reference image on the left. This is where step 4 comes in. This is the blending step. We're going to pick the lightest beige that we have. And with this light beige, we're going to blend everything that we've created so far. Prismacolor pencils are ideal for this type of effects, for this type of shading, but many other pencil brands work beautifully as well. Black Widow pencils are extremely friendly for this kind of an effect. If you are heavy-handed, I would suggest trying Castle Art pencils, though the blending there isn't quite as impressive as with Prismacolor pencils, but Castle Arts are a little bit toned down in terms of their intensity, so they're excellent for beginner colorists or those colorists who are a little bit heavier-handed. Step 4, the blending step, was the quickest and easiest, and I think the most effective one as well. It smoothed everything out. For our 5th and final step, we're going to bring in a sienna brown, a chocolatey brown, anything that's a mid-tone brown and looks, like chocolate. And with that color and a few helpers along the way, we're going to bring everything together. This is the final spruce it all up step. In this step, I will color the frame completely and I will infuse my character and the background with this sienna brown as well. Looking at this coloring now, it already appears beautiful and sepia and true to the look that I'm going for. This may be a good stopping point, but looking at it, for me personally, I have a craving for a touch of gold, a touch of sunshine. This frame kind of screams gold plated or copper plated to me. Again, I don't want too much differentiation here between the subjects, but I think we're quite safe to infuse this with a little bit of sunshine. Not true yellow, but the sand color. Notice that I'm using all very muted colors. All tints and tones and shades of colors, not pure colors, always a little bit distorted already. I will add quite a bit of this sand to the frame, and I will infuse the entire image with it as well to have that continuity going. Finally, for the cherry on top, I like to always bring in my white Prismacolor pencil for the final highlights. I know we started with white, but a lot got covered and smudged and blended along the way. Come back in with that pure white Prismacolor, no matter what brand of pencils you're working with. The Prismacolor White, which is sold individually on Amazon, will work over any brand of pencils. So just a few highlights here and there. I like to bring out the little highlights on the skin, on the cheekbone, on the tip of the nose, and a little bit on the forehead. And anything that's the silk of her dress, maybe on her jewelry a bit, and just a couple of touch-ups on the frame. And that's it. Ta-da! My Victorian sepia coloring of this grayscale princess page is done and complete. I hope you give this a shot. This is a very beautiful and very therapeutic effect. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.